Hello, hello, hello out there. I am Coach Caroline Simmons. Most people call me Coach Cairo around these parts. And I am a gym owner, both in-house and virtually. I teach nutrition and weight management along with a team of coaches. I'm also, my husband and I, we are pros with a company called Health Made Simple, and we inspire healthy living and give families resources to be healthy and active and get great nutrition into their bodies. And today, I have the honor and privilege of talking with Dr. Holly Miller. So Holly is not only has become a great friend of mine, she's also my chiropractor. She's a chiropractor. She was a collegiate athlete. She works out with us. I am fortunate to get to talk to her about her nutrition. She's got a heart of gold. You have a heart of gold. You're awesome. And she is in the middle of a battle right now. You're battling cancer. And today we're jumping on here to kind of talk about how fitness has been working with you and what you do there. We're going to be talking about nutrition today. We're going to talk about mindset today. And so I hope for our viewers out there, you gain some knowledge and insight about what it's like to go through this battle. And if you have questions, whatever platform you're watching on, definitely comment below. You can find me. And I can reach out to the doc here. So first off, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks
for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So the first thing, I guess, we're going to kind of jump right into this. Tell us about your journey with cancer and, the types of cancer you've already battled, because this is not your first rodeo with it. And what all have you been diagnosed with? How has that been?
Well, several years ago, they were treating me for Lyme disease, and ended up it was cancer then, and it was in the brain also then, and I survived that, didn't have any problems, battled that for several years, and then was doing great, doing fantastic. And then I started having some visual stuff about 3 years ago, and they thought it was Lyme disease, and they treated it as a pseudo tumor in the brain, and I kept getting sicker, and I lost my hearing and my eyesight in my right eye, and then they did some more studies and found out that diagnosed me with primary atypical meningioma with metastasis into the spinal fluid, which has caused it to metastasize throughout the whole body.
And what is that? I think for a lot of us that are not well versed in, cancer diagnosis, treatments, and things like that, I think the most common thing we hear is like stages of cancer and which ones we should be more fearful of and what's treatable. As you went through those diagnoses, what was this? Did they have a stage for that?
When I was first diagnosed, they had it at stage 2, or grade 2 is what they call it, grade 2. And then it rapidly turned into grade 3 within about 6 months.
Okay. So. And what was the treatment process like for that?
It started out with chemo. They wanted me to take it every 2 weeks. I was unable to do that. My body just wouldn't let me do it. So it ended up being I had a chemo treatment. I had 26 chemo treatments. It was one every 3 weeks, and I ended up, because my counts kept dropping so fast, that they would have to take like a break in the chemo. So it took quite a while to get through that, and lots of side effects of that.
Okay. Now, when I first met you, I was kind of on my own healing journey. I was having a lot of back issues. I'd already been doing chiropractic work, but I also needed to step it up to acupuncture, which you provide at your office, and that is how we met. And I can remember coming into your office, and you were in the middle of that battle. You were in the middle of chemo, and then I got to watch you go. It was never really remission then, so it was just kind of...
They take a break in my chemo to give my body a break, because my liver just couldn't take it. So they would give me a break, and then they try radiation. Radiation really didn't do much, so they stopped that. And then when my body was strong enough, they would start the chemo back. But I've never been in remission.
Never been. So what's the span of years?
It's for this last diagnosis, which is not related to what I had before.
Okay.
This last one it's been a little more than 3 years.
Okay. So back in, because I mean,
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
So was this one, and then because I can remember, coming into the office, your hair's growing back, all of that. You could tell your energy levels were up. And let me tell you one thing about this woman is, on her worst day, she's most people's best day, which is really incredible. We're going to talk about that because I think that has a lot to do with mindset and some of the things that she does in her daily life just to keep at that. But because that was always the most inspiring, incredible thing is I'm looking at this woman, I'm like, you have to be hurting, like you have to be like, are you miserable? But you would never tell her, like she will not, you don't allow it to get you attack, and I love that. But so I can remember hair coming back, and then here most recently, you've got the next diagnosis, which was what?
Was when it had the tumor in the brain had grown into the motor center of the brain, which was affecting my legs. What was the question?
Just basically, I can remember all of a sudden it got worse.
Yeah, it got worse. I started having more like neurological symptoms, which I really didn't have that many neurological symptoms before that. It was just more of the visual and the hearing. But it had grown into the brain farther, into a section that they couldn't do surgery at this point. And then I started having, like, lymph nodes were swollen, and found out that it was in the lymph system, and then my shoulder started hurting, and then I found out it was in my shoulder, and I was getting really discouraged.
Yeah.
But when we discovered it in the brain that had gone into affecting my legs is when I really kicked up I was going to do everything possible to make my body as strong as possible going into this next round.
Yeah.
And at that point they diagnosed it as I was put down as a grade 4 with a pretty grim prognosis of 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
But I'm doing good.
Yeah, you really are. And that's not the first time you had been given that 6 to 12 months. Is that right?
No,
Yeah.
they gave that to me three years ago.
Yeah. So hope for those that sometimes get that unfortunate grim response. And so when you got that, you kind of kicked everything up, and I was just really lucky to be at the right place at the right time to have the opportunity to work with you. So the first thing that we started on was the physical aspect and trying to get your body as strong as possible, because I think you at that point maybe already knew that you're going to continue to battle, and you literally have to be mentally and physically strong for what the treatments are. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I knew what I was going into again, and I knew that chemo was in the picture again, and I didn't want to do it, but I wanted to do everything possible to get as healthy as possible going into it this time, and trying a whole different approach. Working more with a nutritional oncologist and working with you, and doing more of the nutritional side of it and try to get me healthy and clean my liver up as good as it could be to go into this next battle.
Yeah, and we're going to talk even more on the nutritional side in just a minute. Now, what I offer with my gym, both in-house and virtually, is full body 30-minute workouts that always involve, when I say full body strength training also hits cardio, stretching, all of that. So we immediately, your practice is about 30 minutes from my physical gym. So you started working virtual with me, and we were doing one-on-one coaching. And so how many of those 30-minute workouts has been your goal typically per week?
It started at 3.
Right.
And after the first week, I decided I should do 6.
She's the go-getter. Okay.
And then by the third week, I wanted to do one every single day of some sort.
Yeah, and we add variety as far as low impact, high impact, and a mix in between. But that was one thing that you took very seriously, and I think most of the time it was either early morning or your lunch breaks or after work. You basically demanded that from yourself.
Yes.
And started seeing results very, very quickly. What were some of just when you started adding the strength training and cardio to your daily routine? What were some of the things you noticed right out of the gate?
The very first thing I noticed was I could get up in the truck at the end of my day.
Yeah.
I could not. I have a pretty good sized truck, and I got to the end of the day and I couldn't get in it. I was too weak to get up in the truck, and it was driving me crazy. So one of my main reasons of even starting Curves was because I wanted to drive that truck.
You want to be functional, like functionality. Get that truck.
I wanted to drive that truck, so that was my goal. My biggest goal was to be able to get in that truck at the end of my workday without struggling. And the other thing was, I noticed right off the bat is that I could go up my front steps at the house carrying my work bag, which my work bag weighs anywhere from 10 to 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And most of the time closer to the 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And my goal was to be able to go up those steps without throwing my bag up and then walking up steps, throwing bag up, walking up steps.
Mm-hmm.
So I carried, I think now I have my backpack that has all my workout stuff in it and my work bag and a bunch of other stuff. And one day, I think it was not too long ago, I went up the steps 2 at a time and I weighed all my stuff. It was 65 pounds I had on my back, and that right there was one of those, you might not see it outwardly, but internally, I was stronger. I was definitely stronger. I felt good. I might not look much different than I did back in January, but my goal is to be strong.
Yeah, well, you definitely look much different. In more ways than one. But you're very strong. Like you when I met her in January, you can tell your tone, your muscle tone. And y'all, we're at the lake if you didn't notice. So we just had some wakes come in. So if you're hearing that, haha, look at us, we're at the lake and it's gorgeous. But some other things that stand out to me as your coach in fitness, your treatments have been and still are pretty intense. And when I say intense, you're going in and tell us a little bit about the spinal treatments and what that does to you.
Okay, so I get spinal chemo. They put it directly into the spinal column. Mm-hmm. And I usually have to spend several days in the hospital because it affects my whole nervous system. So I can't, it's pretty much like being paralyzed, but your brain still works. I can't feel my legs. I can't use my arms. My arms usually come back quicker. My legs, because that's where the cancer is affecting the legs more. It takes me about 5 to 7 days to be able to get where I can use my legs pretty good.
And we're talking about as extreme as like having to have a walker just to move small distances.
Yes. Yeah, just to be able to walk 3 steps.
Yeah. And so we're talking, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what Dr. Holly was doing, is we basically taking this very strategic approach to kind of maximize her fitness level in between these treatments, because you're doing the spinal chemo, what some might call traditional chemo the next week, then spinal again. And so these are happening, you're on a break this week, but Thursdays. So we and sometimes that Thursday treatment, we don't get you fully back until Sunday. Many of the occasions where she can go back into the 30-minute workout. But, we're talking about somebody on Monday hiking, running like 3 miles, doing her curves workout, adjusting patience, and then going to where she's using a walker on the weekends. And that has been something that's been incredible. Is most everybody has these fitness watches, right? And so we like to close our rings. And on your worst days, this is what's really cool, is we've talked about adapting and adjusting. Yes, we have recovery days because we know that her body has to recover, and many of those days right after chemo is really about resting and letting the body heal. But then within that, something I feel like it keeps you going constantly is even on some of those really hard days with Walker, you would get up and do like 5 minutes of steps throughout your day. Can you explain one of those days to people?
I think my worst one, I was in the hospital, several days. And I came home with the walker, and it was all I could do just to use that. But I wanted to close my rings.
Yeah.
So, and I also wanted to get off the darn walker. Mm-hmm. So I started out, and it would be like maybe a minute. I would get up and do something for about a minute, try to walk. And then one day it took me all day to get my 30 minutes in. Yeah. But I got it in. Yeah. And now I can push myself about 5 to 10 minutes at a time. Yeah. On those bad days, and but my goal is to get that 30 minutes in. Yeah. And back in January, I couldn't even. 30 minutes was a lot. Yeah. For me. Yeah. Even on my great days. Yeah. 30 minutes was a lot of exercise for me. I didn't think I had the time. I didn't think I had the energy. Yeah. And I told myself I was going to do 30 minutes. I'm going to say nobody's going to bother me during my 30 minutes. And now I do about 120. That's my goal a day, is to do 120 minutes of movement. But on my after chemo, around those weeks, my goal is 30 minutes. Yeah. To try to stick with that.
Yeah, and throughout your journey, and I've watched you, like all of a sudden the shoulder hurt, or you would notice things that weren't cognitively working with your body. And what I mean by that is, all of a sudden moving backwards, like walking backwards. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what were you experiencing, and how did you notice it?
I started out, if it wasn't for me going to curves, I'm not sure that they would have gotten on top of this new thing. So I started out, and lunges were tough for me anyways when I first started, just because my legs were so weak. And then I all of a sudden I accomplished the lunges. I was doing great with lunges, and then one day we were doing reverse lunges, I think, in strong. Yeah. And I could not initiate the movement of putting my leg backwards to do that lunge. And I'm like, that's really weird. And I thought maybe it was just a balance thing. So it went about 2 weeks, and I finally noticed that it was getting worse, where I couldn't even step backwards, not even putting the lunge in there, just to initiate backwards motion. And so I did mention something to the doctor, and he sent me straight for a scan of my head, and they come back with that new tumor, which they would not have found until the middle of June if I hadn't been going to curves. Yeah. I really thank the Lord every day that I was going to curves when I was. Yeah.
And so when we figured out that was happening, what I loved is, as a coach, we don't know what we don't know, and you immediately were telling me about this. So we kind of put together a small leg routine where you had to literally connect brain movement with that reverse movement, and then you use that tool, and you've been doing it daily to build up strength. We also noticed that because the treatments were affecting your legs so much, we started on these good days making sure that we were doing a lot of leg work just to keep your legs really strong, so that when the next treatment came, you would be able to walk quicker without the assistance of a walker. And
it's done a lot better. I just came out of my third spinal treatment, and I was back up and walking pretty good in less than 2 days. Less than 48 hours, which it took almost a week, the very first treatment. So, and I do a lot of I call it neuromuscular re-education. So I do just constant motion, that backwards motion. So on the elliptical, I go backwards instead of forwards on the elliptical. I have a stationary, or I put my bike up on a trainer, and I pedal that thing backwards. And I also, on my daily walks, I try to walk 3 to 4 miles a day. And on those walks, I take every 10 to 15, well, it's about 10 minutes. I'll walk backwards
Yeah.
for about 5 minutes
Yeah.
at a time. Just that backwards motion, and it's making that area of the brain fire. So hopefully I can keep it growing.
Yeah. Right. Keep it.
I can keep it strong in that area, so we can battle this thing the best we can.
Yeah.
So,
But that's been really cool. Like whatever issue, if you will, or a problem that arose, we keep trying to fight it with, the physicality of it.
and I'll tell you that I've had a lot of things between the hip,
Yeah.
the shoulder, and it's very discouraging. And I'm sure there's other people out there that aren't battling cancer, but they end up having other physical problems that they want to quit. They want to quit exercising because something hurts. And I was there. I'm not gonna lie. But between you and all the coaches there, you guys went above and beyond and set something up to help me deal with that until that didn't hurt so bad to do it.
Right.
So I didn't have to quit, even though I wanted to.
Yeah. Well, and
So-
kudos for you for not quitting. And that kind of, not only physical strength, but I think mental strength. Yeah, the mental strength. And that's something that has really, I just admire your mental strength. I admire your positivity. Some people could take this diagnosis, this life expectancy, all of that, and they could really look at the negative sides of that, and it could go, and I think that leads to a very negative natured experience. And tell me what you think about the importance of positivity and your mentality. Like what works for you and why do you do it?
I think my competitiveness plays a factor in it big time, and my personality. I've always been a person that, you get handed, you may get a bad hand of cards,
Yeah.
but do the best you can to make it a good hand.
Right.
It may take you longer to get there. Wait.
Getting efficient onto that.
But I've been through this so many times. It seems like I don't question God, why, but I look at it as it's just another challenge in life, another obstacle, and just do the best you can at what you got.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel that 90% of battling anything, it doesn't have to be cancer or anything.
Yeah.
I think it is mental.
Yeah.
I think 90% of it comes from your mental approach to it. And do I get discouraged? Yeah, I get discouraged.
Yeah.
Do I feel like I've been defeated? Yeah, I do. I deal with it and then I go on.
Yeah.
I like to keep myself busy. I keep myself really busy. I cannot lay around and try to feel better. So
Yeah.
my approach is I'm going to get up and feel better
Right.
instead of laying around and feel better. But I do think that, this last time I think I was probably, it bothered me probably more.
Yeah.
Just because I had been doing so well and I felt good. I felt great going into this time around. So I was a little bit discouraged because I'm like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to do curves. I won't be able to close my rings.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can stay on this diet. And I've just like, I was discouraged. And I talked to you and you pulled me back up out of it and I was good.
Yeah.
I think I was only there for maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah. You don't stay low for long. But
I was there a little while and I said, you know what, this is a challenge.
yeah.
And I will defeat you
Yeah.
the best I can. So I've got all my arsenal. We're just going after it.
Yeah.
With a different approach this time.
Yeah, and we use terms like that a lot. You and I, like we're suiting up when you're going in for your chemo, and it literally is like, yeah, we're going into battle, and
Yeah.
I kind of feel like
And that's what I envision too.
right,
that
marching right into it, like
yeah, like come
give
on.
it,
Yeah.
Give it, because guess what I got in my arsenal? I've already done this, and this week, and I'm doing this, and this when I'm out of here. And now you talked about diet. Let's talk about this. So this was pretty interesting. So for me, I teach nutrition and weight management. Over the last 2 years, I've been doing a lot of continued education and more of a plant-based lifestyle. And I have learned from my research and that, you know, we want to get all of the inflammation out of the body. There are foods that will feed cancer, if you will, spread it, and to get the inflammation out of the body, we're finding that making sure your plate is mostly plants, if not all. But for someone going through cancer, we're really seeing some just tremendous results with people doing more of a vegan diet, getting the animal products out that cause inflammation, processed foods, the sugars and all of that. And I think through, it was probably between, over a year. I can remember I put a little flyer one time during one of my chiropractic visits, and that was kind of just to see, because I automatically loved you. Like, I loved your spirit. I'm like, there's something I am supposed to be doing something with her. I'm supposed to be helping her. And so I remember I just put a little flyer about it, and I could tell.
Listening.
Yeah, you weren't. It wasn't ready yet. No. I think I might have mentioned cutting meat, and you're like, not happening.
Yeah.
And then I didn't push it at all. And then the more severe diagnosis came up. We were already working fitness together, and I think that's where it opened up. Now, my husband and I, with Health Made Simple, we partner with a company called Juice Plus. And what Juice Plus is literally encapsulated fruits and veggies. They take them vine ripened, organic, they grind it down, put it into a capsule, and it's not a supplement, it's not a vitamin. It is literally, it's a food label, and it's NSF approved. And so what that means is, like, whatever the bottle says is in there is actually in there. Your Olympians and athletes and everybody can take it. It's safe for babies, pregnant women, young people, old people, everybody. But more importantly, someone going through any type of disease or wants to prevent any type of disease, this is such a great tool to have in your toolbox, because they say, the government says for adults, 13 servings of fruits and veggies, and I certainly don't get that on my best day, but seeing what that does, all the antioxidants and those nutrients going to fight for you to heal, because anytime your body's under attack, it needs the antioxidants, and that's exactly what Juice Plus does. Is it's just functional, constant nutrition for someone. And so I think the conversation might have started from there. I was like, have you ever heard of Juice Plus? Because I'm like, how can I got to make sure this woman's got, I knew all of these good things, and I have this innate thing when I find out, somebody needs this, I want to just throw it at them. But I just, kind of was like, have you heard about it? And to my surprise, you're like, oh yeah, I take Juice Plus. Everybody, my whole family takes Juice Plus. I'm like, thank you. And
but I wasn't religiously taking it.
Right.
But my parents been on it 20 some years.
Yeah.
My aunt is almost 100 years old,
yeah.
94, I think, and she's been on it. She sells it,
yeah,
or distributes. I don't know what you call that.
Yeah.
So my mom's been on it strategically for more than 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I would take them once in a blue moon. I never really, and then we changed. I said, okay, I'll give it a try, and I think you said, let's try it for 90 days.
Yeah.
Give me 90 days. Just give me 90 days.
Yeah.
So I did it, and the nutritional oncologist was totally against it. Like, you're not getting enough of this, you're not getting enough of that,
yeah.
And so we worked. I reached out to you, and you reached out to your people, and we decided we needed to double.
Yeah.
The omega ones.
Yeah.
And that's made a big difference. So we went from taking what normal people take to I take double of everything, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is. I was totally against the whole plant-based diet. I don't want to say vegan.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk. Well, let's talk about real quick the difference between a plant-based diet and a vegan diet. So, and some of it is attitude with it, but plant-based, is tend to think more like 90%, 75, 90% of the food that you eat throughout your day comes from whole foods and plants, right? And then a vegan diet is absolutely no meat products, no dairy, no animal products whatsoever. And so about the time you started doing the full regimen of Juice Plus, and what I mean by that is that we've got fruits, veggies, berries, and omegas. We also took you to the complete plant-based diet or a vegan diet.
Yeah.
And that was mainly, and the reason why we were so strict with you is because of of the cancer.
Yeah.
And we wanted to starve out any cancer that we could. We wanted to prevent any growth in any way possible. And, my team and I, we knew that if we can get anything that causes inflammation out of your body, like that's what we have to do. And if you'll give me 90 days, we're going to take this Juice Plus, you're going to a complete plant-based diet, and let's just see what happens.
Now, I'm the one that didn't eat vegetables, and I ate a few fruits. And now that's all I eat is vegetables and fruit.
Yeah.
I really, since I was a little kid, never ate vegetables.
Yeah.
Just like, I guess most kids, but...
Well, and one of the cool things about taking that, whether it's in a capsule or you're eating it, metabolic programming happens, and, whatever you're eating, you're going to crave more of. So if you're eating bad things, you're craving more bad things. But if you're eating fruits and veggies, even if it's going in through a cap and you don't even have to, taste it, you're going to crave those things. And so that's very helpful with weight loss, disease fighting, prevention, all of that. So we did that. And so the nutritional oncologist, when we went completely plant-based, they were worried about protein levels. I know that
protein levels was a big one. And protein levels, the omega level, but the protein was the biggest one.
Yeah.
And calories.
Right. And
they
getting
didn't think I
calories
was
in.
getting enough calories just because the cancer is so aggressive.
Yeah.
They wanted to make sure I had enough calories, but we've worked with that and we're doing good.
Yeah, literally anything that they would come back with, we were able to readjust. And a lot of that we did through, we do free meal preps every week. So if that's something anybody out there wants to get in on, but we actually free meal prep shopping list and we get going with that. But what we were doing for you specifically, because sometimes, depending on where you were in your treatments, food wasn't going well. We basically, most of the time during this last round of chemo, it's been smoothies. And what we did, protein in smoothies, we used pumpkin seeds. For the omegas, we were using flax, hemp seeds, hemp hearts, chia seeds. And so anything that we could to make sure that we were keeping you nutritionally sound. And I can remember not too long ago, maybe a few weeks ago, you were in the middle of your treatment and you sent me this message and you're like, the nutritional oncologist just made, what was it?
They were
chickpea chips.
Chickpea chips.
And I'm like,
she brought them in for everybody, and I was like, whoa. So she's like, she is seeing it, and they've been, for years they have done studies on keeping the body in an alkaline state. But they've never really, this lady never really got into it because she said it's so hard for people to stay in an alkaline state, and that alkaline state is what starves that cancer out. So seeing, I guess I might be her guinea pig, I'm not sure. But anyways, I've been able to keep my body in a completely alkaline state since March.
Yeah.
March, it's been totally in an alkaline state.
Yeah, and right now, by the way, it's the end of July. And so what's really cool about this is, so your body has to be at a certain pH, right? If it goes the wrong way, well, you die, and disease happens. And so this alkaline state is very, very important. And so there's actually, this really cool chart that shows, foods that cause acid in the body and will prevent you from getting into that alkaline state. The main things you got to stay away from is, these processed chemicals, sodas, diet sodas, sugar will just really throw that off. And so what we did is we eliminated all of these things that would take you over into the red, if you will, and put you only into the good. And that's what all of those fruits and veggies are doing, is literally they can heal you. And so we are starting to catch their attention with that, and you being completely plant-based. And because of that too, you've had some other wow moments with the doctors.
Yeah.
Tell us some of your most fun wow moments that you've done, that you've had with your treatment.
Probably the most one was when they come in and said, we have a study being done with this spinal chemo. And this spinal chemo, but they won't take anybody over the age of 30 in it. But all your lab work and everything is, you're on down where like about a 25 to a 27-year-old, and so we're going to allow you to be they're going to allow you to be part of the study. And I said, whoa, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Because I'm a long ways from 25.
Yes, yeah. So her bio age, if you will, and it is a 25-year-old.
Is a 25-year-old. And back in October of last year, my, what do you call that?
I call it a bio age, if you will,
My
like
bio-
how it's not actually your actual age, it's the way that your body is
But-
functioning, the age your
exactly.
body is functioning.
And I was at about a 60-year-old.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's tremendous.
So that's a
with-
big difference.
Yeah, physical
Um,
nutrition, that's crazy, that's wonderful.
And you know, the blood work is amazing. They do. I get blood work done every single week. But the biggest thing, I guess, the biggest red flag that I saw back in January, because I've been on so much prednisone for 3 years nonstop,
Yeah.
hundreds of milligrams of prednisone a day, and it caused my cholesterol, my total cholesterol level went way up.
Yeah.
And in January it was
229.
229, and right now, as of last week, it was 142. So that's right there's a huge thing. And my HDL was at the beginning, it was still in the normal range, was low normal, but now it's way above that 100 mark that they want. I think and then my bad cholesterol is way low. So right there is when the nutritional oncologist said, whoa, something's going on here. And then my liver is holding up like a champ with this new round, which it never has. Usually we have to stop my treatments because the liver enzymes get so out of whack. And a lot of people can't take chemo for a long period of time like I have, because their liver it blows their liver out.
Yeah.
And you can only take so much before you end up with like serious liver damage. Mine has recovered. I had cancer in the liver, and that is gone.
Incredible.
A lot of the tumors throughout the body is gone. So I think the juice, I feel a difference with the Juice Plus, because when I'm in the hospital they don't let me have it. We sneak it in. And if I go 3 days without it, I can feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it in my joints, I feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
I feel the inflammation in my body. Some other things were probably like my blood pressure.
Yes, tell them about your January blood pressure to the most
Can
recent.
I use my cheat sheet?
Yeah, of course you can. Because, I mean, these numbers are pretty incredible.
My blood pressure in January was 146 over 112, which was probably better than it was back in like October of the previous year. And then by March it had dropped down to 119 over 68, and by July it's 109 over 58, and it stays right around that right now. And then my resting heart rate, that's crazy. that amazes me, because now I have a hard time getting my rings closed because I got to get my heart rate up higher, and then it recovers so fast.
Sorry, not sorry.
So my resting heart rate in January was about 89, and that was on a good day.
Yeah.
A lot of times it would, my watch would send an alarm. It would be like 120.
Oh,
just
wow.
resting.
Yeah.
But average about 89. And now it's like 58.
58.
Yeah, so there's things like that are just amazing to me. I'm a visual person. I have to see it I have to see progress.
Right.
And I've been on diets before. I've been, and they never last.
Yeah.
They don't last because they don't come off fast. The
Yeah.
weight it stays on, and you're like, oh, that's a hard diet. I can't do that.
Yeah.
The fad diets, the high protein, no carb. Yeah, your weight's gonna come off, but you can't do it forever.
Well,
your body craves it. You have to have all your food groups.
Yep.
And this is the first time I've never had any. I don't have any desire whatsoever to stop doing what I'm doing. Is it because of my? I think I want to prove everybody wrong, for one thing, because
Yeah.
that's just me. And the other thing is that I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better, and my recovery is so much quicker.
Yeah.
Now, I have missed a lot of work, but
Yeah. In comparison.
in comparison to before,
Yeah.
I think I'm recovering a lot better, and my body's holding up enough that hopefully I can withstand the rest of the treatments and we can get this in remission.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, just to piggyback real quick on the liver, because I think that's very, very important. Pretty much your microbiome, your gut health really runs everything. And what a lot of people, there's not a lot of, people aren't running around being like, let me help you heal your gut. I am now. But it's really about making sure that you are putting in the good foods, and it's whole food, plant-based nutrition that helps heal your microbiome and makes everything work appropriately so that you do have fast healing. And then, we're fortunate we get to put the Juice Plus pop in there, and that's just helping heal all of that a lot faster. And so for those of you out there, if you've got questions about that, or you would like more information, I can certainly help you out with that. So real quick, we'll put a bow on this. For those that are battling cancer, what would be just one takeaway, one piece of advice that you would give somebody that is right in the middle of what you're going through?
Stay positive. The fatigue is probably one of the hardest things for people. I think it is, and some of my friends that are going through it too. It's the fatigue. If you can keep moving a little bit, is better than sitting around and not. And sometimes it may take you all day to get 30 minutes in, but you got 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
And you feel better. That helps the mental part, just the exercising. But the key is just probably just to stay positive.
Stay positive.
Stay positive. Find something that you still like to do. It may not bring you the same joy as before, but it's something that you can keep your mind busy at, so you can battle it. I think of it as ammunition against cancer. If you can keep it positive, it can't take you down. It can't take you down. And you can, just try to stay positive. Even if they give you a bad diagnosis, it's okay to have an ugly cry once in a while.
So that's right. That's right.
It's okay to have those. You need those. You can't keep that in.
That's right. That's right. That's definitely been one of my things. I'm like, it is okay to let your guard down, be vulnerable, get a just straight up ugly cry, get it all out. Because as I've talked to her in the past, and we've agreed, sometimes you just got to get that out so you can build yourself back up.
Yeah. And I can't emphasize enough on the nutritional aspect of this. I really can't. There's so many studies being done now on that, but so many people aren't willing to change. I was one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't really offered it other than by you.
Yeah.
My doctors didn't. I mean, they're like, here, take this shake that has 5,000 calories in it because we need to get you fluffier.
Yeah.
So you can withstand these treatments instead of, hey, let's battle it from the inside. And it's, most people think, well, if you change your nutrition, it's going to take years and years for it to change inside. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It does not.
Yeah.
It was quick for me. Within a month, we saw huge
Changes.
difference.
Yeah. And with that too, and one thing to be, just kind of aware of is, really seeking out nutritional help and really look around for it, because, most of your everyday physicians, they are not getting but maybe a 2-hour course in nutrition. That's not what they specialize in. So find the people that specialize in nutrition, find the people that work with whatever you're dealing with, whatever, if it's just disease or prevention or you just want to be fit, whatever it is, find people, find coaches like me that are really out there putting the work in, finding the research, the reliable research. And I think we're going to see over the next few years, we call it a healthy revolution. I think we're really going to see that people are pulling the lens back and really looking at going back to whole food, plant-based, and its healing powers, and not being pitched all of these other things that maybe, you know, provide government money and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's really coming down, and it's people like you stepping out into that and turning the heads of you know, your doctors and going, what is up? Because there are a lot of hospitals out there that are already doing this. You know, yeah, the Juice Plus is going in feeding tubes, and they're getting it and they're understanding it and really looking at it. But it is, the world is hard. Change is hard. But I can tell you, you know, if you're switching over to a plant-based diet to relieve some sort of or fix some sort of ailment, I know for me, I did it for pain. I've been living with some back pain, and so for me, getting inflammation out. But I'm working with a lot of clients that we have reversed disease, we have come off medications, and I will say, you know, when you're going to a plant-based diet, there are ways to work yourself into it. And I do recommend when you do it, you do want to give it a commitment of 3 to 6 months, you know. And when I finally did that, I really started seeing all the benefits. But I noticed things, you know, with Juice Plus and going completely plant-based. Within a week, things were changing. 2 weeks, things were changing. Gosh, but within 2 months, my pain levels were quite different, and it's been wild.
Yeah.
It's been wild. Well, I'm not going to hold everybody up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please, if you need coaching, like I said, my team and I, we do virtual or in-house, so it doesn't matter where you're from, or if you need advice or you need some free resources, or heck, I know Dr. Holly is so loving and giving. If you had questions, put them in the comments and we'll get them to her and she will answer them for you. But thank you for spending your valuable time. If you had some great takeaways or appreciated this, please put it in the comments below. Stay healthy, eat your fruits and veggies, and thanks again, y'all. Bye. Bye. And thanks for this awesome scenery today. Oh my goodness.